This is Steel of War, a factual archival record of armored vehicles used in global conflict. What follows is a complete, verified account of Soviet tanks that entered active combat service during World War II. Between 1939 and 1945, the Soviet Union fielded one of the largest and most diverse armored forces in military history. Soviet tank design evolved rapidly under the pressures of large-scale mechanized warfare on the Eastern Front. This narration documents only tanks that were produced and used in combat during World War II. T-26 light tank. The T-26 was the most numerous Soviet tank of the interwar period and remained in frontline service during the early years of World War II. Derived from the British Vickers 6-ton design, it featured thin armor and a 45mm main gun, effective against early war armored vehicles. T-26 tanks saw extensive combat in the Winter War against Finland and during the opening phases of Operation Barbarossa in 1941. Although obsolete by mid-war standards, the T-26 played a significant role due to its widespread availability and ease of maintenance. BT-5 fast tank. The BT-5 was part of the Soviet Bystrokhodiy tank series, emphasizing high speed and operational mobility. Equipped with a 45mm gun and Christie suspension, it could operate on tracks or wheels. BT-5 tanks were used during border conflicts and in the early stages of the German invasion. Their thin armor made them vulnerable, but their speed allowed rapid maneuver in open terrain. BT-7 fast tank. The BT-7 was an improved development of the BT-5, featuring better armor layout and improved reliability. It was widely deployed in 1941 and represented the final evolution of Soviet fast tanks before the transition to fully tracked medium designs. Combat experience demonstrated the limitations of lightly armored, high-speed tanks against modern anti-tank weapons. You are listening to Steel of War. Subscribe for continued access to documented military history. T-28 medium tank. The T-28 was a multi-turreted medium tank designed to support infantry breakthroughs. Armed with a 76.2mm main gun and multiple machine guns, it was intended to suppress fortified positions. T-28 tanks saw combat during the Winter War and early Eastern Front engagements. Although mechanically complex, it provided valuable experience for later Soviet medium tank development. T-35 heavy tank. The T-35 was a multi-turreted heavy tank designed for psychological and breakthrough roles. It carried a 76.2mm gun and several secondary turrets. Operational use revealed severe reliability issues, and many were lost to mechanical failure rather than enemy action. Despite limited effectiveness, the T-35 remains an example of pre-war heavy tank doctrine. T-37A amphibious tank. The T-37A was a light amphibious reconnaissance tank capable of river crossings. Lightly armed and armored, it was intended for scouting and communication roles. It was used primarily in the early war period and suffered high losses due to vulnerability in combat conditions. T-38 amphibious tank. An improved version of the T-37A, the T-38 featured better buoyancy and reliability. It remained lightly armed and was primarily used in reconnaissance and support roles. Combat experience showed amphibious tanks were highly specialized and vulnerable in contested environments. T-40 amphibious tank. The T-40 was the most advanced Soviet amphibious tank of the war. It incorporated improved armor and armament compared to earlier designs. As battlefield conditions worsened, many T-40s were used as conventional light tanks rather than amphibious vehicles. This program is presented by Steel of War, a neutral archive of global armored warfare. T-50 light tank. The T-50 was designed to replace earlier light tanks with improved protection and crew ergonomics. Armed with a 45mm gun and featuring sloped armor, it showed promise, but was produced in limited numbers due to manufacturing complexity. It saw combat primarily in 1941 and 1942. T-60 light tank. The T-60 was a simplified wartime light tank designed for rapid production. Armed with a 20mm autocannon, it provided basic reconnaissance and infantry support. Although lightly armored, it was widely used due to industrial constraints during the early war years. T-70 light tank. The T-70 replaced the T-60 with heavier armor and a 45mm gun. It served extensively from 1942 onward, particularly in reconnaissance and infantry support roles. Its two-man crew configuration limited combat effectiveness but allowed mass production. KV-1 heavy tank. The KV-1 was a heavily armored breakthrough tank introduced at the start of the war. Its thick armor proved resistant to early German anti-tank weapons. Armed with a 76.2mm gun, the KV-1 influenced enemy tactical adaptations and delayed advances despite mechanical reliability challenges. KV-2 heavy tank. The KV-2 mounted a large 152mm howitzer in a tall turret designed to destroy fortified positions. Its size and slow turret traverse made it vulnerable, but its firepower was formidable. KV-2 tanks were used primarily in 1941. You are listening to Steel of War. Subscribe to preserve documented military history. KV-8 flamethrower tank. The KV-8 replaced the main gun with a flamethrower for close-range assault operations. Designed for urban and fortified combat, it provided psychological and tactical effects. KV-8 tanks were used in limited numbers, but fulfilled specialized battlefield roles. T-34/76 medium tank. The T-34/76 introduced sloped armor, wide tracks, and a powerful 76.2mm gun, redefining medium tank design. Entering service in 1940, it became the backbone of Soviet armored forces. Its balance of mobility, protection, and firepower influenced tank development worldwide and proved decisive on the Eastern Front. T-34/85 medium tank. The T-34/85 improved upon the earlier design with a larger turret and an 85mm gun capable of engaging heavier enemy tanks. Introduced in 1944, it restored battlefield parity and remained in service through the end of the war. IS-1 heavy tank. The IS-1 marked the transition from the KV series to a new generation of heavy tanks. Featuring improved armor layout and mobility, it was produced in limited numbers and served briefly in late 1944. IS-2 heavy tank. The IS-2 was armed with a powerful 122mm gun designed to defeat heavy armor and fortified positions. Entering combat in 1944, it played a key role in late war offensives, including operations in Eastern Europe and Germany. This concludes the archival record. You have been listening to Steel of War. These vehicles represent every Soviet tank confirmed to have entered active combat service during World War II. Each reflects the industrial, tactical, and doctrinal evolution of Soviet armored forces during the conflict. This record is preserved for historical accuracy and educational reference.